Hi, I'm Scott Wilson, owner of the Confluence Fly Shop in Bellingham, Washington. And today I'm going to share with you a favorite low clear water winter steelhead pattern that I like to call the PT Prawn. I'm going to start by tying on a 20 millimeter OPST Intruder shank. And if you're wondering what this thing is clipped into my vise, this is the brand new OPST shank chuck tool. If you've ever used a drill and taken drill bits in and out, this thing is going to work much the same way. Insert the shank in there and then tighten it down. And it's a great way if you're purchasing pre-clipped shanks that don't have a little adapter on the back like a Waddington shank. This is really easy on your vise. And the cool thing is they made this tool so it'll fit in virtually any vise out there. I'm going to lay down a thread base, fluorescent orange Uni 6/0. And then I have actually already pre-rigged my trailer hook. Today I'm going to tie this as a stinger style fly, and I am using a size 4 OPST swing hook. They're already barbless, they're super sharp, and I have got that looped to some red Senyo's Intruder wire. So we'll lay that back, and I want to size this Intruder wire stinger just big enough to be able to get a hook in and out of there if I wanted to replace the hook. There we go. And that's about right. I'm going to bind that down. And then right about where I hit the return loop on the wire, or on the shank, I'm going to fold that wire over and bind it back down backwards. Now, I don't want to use my good tying scissors to clip this, so we'll just use a pair of wire cutters. Preferably sharper ones than these. There we go. Now you want to be careful as you're wrapping your thread back over those, or what just happened to me will happen to you. Sometimes you get a little burr on there that'll cut your thread, so you want to very carefully kind of cover that up without cutting it. And then I am going to start with a little dubbing ball at the back of the fly. I'm going to use UV red ice dub for this. Take a little bit here. And just make ourselves a little ball. Next I'm gonna make the tail on this thing. I'm going to start with just a few strands of Hot Orange Lady Amherst. Beautiful stuff here. I'm going to extend that back about just shy of the length of my trailing hook. And I'm going to top that with some Montana Fly Company Grizzly Ostrich. That's black and red. I'm not looking for a whole bunch of it here, maybe 8 strands or so. make that a hair longer than the Amherst. Just kind of going back about as far as the hook. I don't want it much farther than the hook, otherwise it tends to get wrapped in there when you're fishing the fly. I'm going to add, I'm going to cut one long strand of pearlescent Krystal Flash. Just give the fly a little bit more of, a little wee bit of flash in the profile. I'll tie that in the center and then just double it over. And I usually clip these slightly different lengths there. Now I'm going to put in what I like to think of as the eyes. I'm just going to use a natural Golden Pheasant Tippet here. And I'm going to start by making sure I strip away some of the fluffy stuff or the fibers that don't have any barring on the end there. And then I'm going to take my scissor points and just very carefully clip out the center. So I've got kind of a V wedge here. And I'll lay that down right in the middle over my tail. Start with some light wraps and then get progressively tighter. Get that feather in there. It should kind of split around the back. It's going to give your fly sort of the appearance of eyes, but it's also going to add a little bit of movement and some nice color contrast in there too. Next, I'm going to make myself a little dubbing loop. Take my Stonefo dubbing twister of choice and insert that in there. And I'm actually going to do what's called a composite loop here, where I'm putting materials inside my dubbing. A great technique that I've seen Jerry French do on many a fly, and I really like the effect it gives you. So I'll take a thin layer here of UV pink ice dub, and I'm just going to lay it on the table in front of me. I'll go ahead and prep my other thin layer. You don't want to use too much. The shank is fairly short here. And then next, I've got myself some Hot Orange Predator Wrap, which is kind of a new product from Hairline. And I just absolutely love this stuff. It comes on a core, so you could wrap it like a hackle if you wanted to, but I typically prefer to just cut off a chunk. I'm going to make these a couple inches long so they sweep back, and then I'm just going to very carefully kind of spread those out the length of my dubbing. I've got my bottom layer, and then I'm going to add my other layer to the top. Then I end up with something kind of like this here. It's actually nice when you're working with loose materials. That dubbing just really tends to sandwich it together, and it makes it very manageable to handle. I'll insert that into my dubbing loop. Spread things out the way I think they should be, and then just spin that up. So in a nice sort of translucent UV core with lots of big sort of tentacles coming out of it here. I'll comb that out with a dubbing brush, and then let's advance our thread up, and I'm going to form the body. I want to make sure I don't get fibers trapped and separated in here, so with each wrap I'm going to kind of sweep them back just like I would if I were working with a hackle. this one, I'm going to take a little wider wrap so I can get to where I want to finish this fly. I could have made that dubbing loop just a little bit longer with more dubbing. Okay, so I'll wrap over that a few times, and then we will clip that off. Make sure everything is swept back out of the way. And then we're going to take a red dyed Jumbo Guinea feather. I'll strip away the fluff at the base just to give myself kind of a handle to work with. And then I'm going to carefully comb these fibers back so I can tie this in by the tip. Trim off that feather so I've got just a little bit of a nub for a good tie-in point. Make sure that's tied down. Sweep the fibers back, and I don't need a lot of thick collar of hackle here. I'm really looking to do 1 or 2 wraps at most. Here's my second wrap. Sometimes I like to pull away some of those fibers before I tie it down. Just gives me a little cleaner tie-in point. Gone over it there. Trim that. And I'm going to take a couple wraps just back over that guinea stem to really lock it into place. Last thing I'm going to add is a couple of Golden Pheasant rump feathers here. These are hot orange. That one's kind of missing a piece, so we're going to scrap that one. Pick some nice even ones. I'm going to match those tips up there fairly even. And I'm going to strip away all the fluffy stuff at the base. And a great trick, if you got a glass of water or something laying around, which I don't at the moment, is to get these wet and kind of tame them. They're a lot easier to work with. I don't want to use my coffee, so I'm just going to run them through my mouth, and they kind of slim down here, making them very easy to tie in. I want this to go about to the back of the shank. I'm going to take a couple of loose wraps. I'm pinching them to the top of the hook. And then a lot of times those stems are going to want to kind of roll on you. I pull them to the center top of the hook, and then I'm going to pinch them with my left hand and pull them away from the eye with my right, just to get them seated in there. And then we'll start really cranking down on our wraps to make sure those are locked into place. Trim that little bit of stem off, and at this point I'm just going to build myself a nice neat little head. The whip finishing tool is evading me right now, so I'll just finish it off with a few half hitches. And then a little dollop of head cement there. So this thing is extremely translucent, still has a lot of movement, nice small size, great fly to fish in, right now with the weather we've got going on, or later in the spring, even in the summer as the rivers are lower. So really good small winter steelhead pattern, the PT prawn. Thanks for watching, and please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.